Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thrive Thursday. I am here with Lori Kuhn. She wrote an awesome article this week called Compromising Isn't Always the Best Solution. We talk a lot in our office about win-win-win situations, and this comes up a lot when we're talking to executives within organizations and anybody within families, anybody who's working within a team. So, Lori, can you tell me a little bit about the article, what inspired you to write it, and what you want people to know?
I'll start with inspiration. So what inspired me to write about it is I would get so frustrated when I'd be in business and people would be like, well, we need to come to an agreement. And it always felt like this lowering of energy, this lowering, okay, we're not agreeing with this really great idea, so we have to make it less than so that everybody's on board.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are we doing that? Because we don't do that at Thrive.
Yeah.
It's like we sit around and we talk about something and we don't agree with it. Well, we stay in it until it becomes something really cool. So we leave our meetings going, wow, that was awesome. That freaking rocked. Like it was better than any of us expected it could be. And I felt like everybody else was missing out on that too.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the article to share with people, look, compromising isn't about giving something up or lowering your standard. It could really turn into this awesome expanded thing that you guys never even imagined could happen.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that I've heard that I would love to address. Is people often think that this is going to slow them down. And what we know at Thrive is it actually speeds us up. And so can you talk about that a little bit, how it speeds us up? People have kind of talked about this in terms of consensus. And when they think about consensus, they're thinking about it's going to take too long to get everybody on board. It's going to take too long to make sure everybody's voice is heard and everybody's needs are met. So can you dive into that? Because I think that that's probably the biggest challenge to get people to see a different way of doing this.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is if everybody just has their opinions, so we bring all our opinions to the table. And if you're going for a consensus, you're just trying to make everybody happy or appease everybody at some level. So then they walk away and they're like, well, I'm okay with that, but it doesn't really feel good. I'm just okay with it. And so the premise behind that isn't just to be okay with it, but is to be excited about it, because that's when you get your buy-in. That's when you get people are participating. That's when you get people wanting to move the mission forward, because now they're excited about it. They're not just like, well, yeah, they listened to what I said and, they took a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And yeah, I'm good with it, but there's no excitement there. There's no reason for me to go out and, talk about it and express myself in it, because it really doesn't excite me, because it's just a fraction of what I was looking for.
So that in itself can slow an organization down, definitely, because
and then you're forced to revisit
dragging people along.
Right. And then you have that revisit component. So now the issue comes up again because I'm not excited about it. So they're like, well, why aren't you doing this? Well, I'm not excited about it. And now I'm readdressing the issue again. Or if you take that issue to the elevated level, now not only am I not addressing it again, but everybody's on board and everybody's full throttle with it, because now it's this exciting thing. And so you save time in not having to address it again. And you save time with having to get everybody up to speed with what it is again, because they only listened to their part of it. They didn't listen to the big thing, because it's like, well, we're all kind of compromising. So now you're constantly getting people up to speed with what it is, because the buy-in isn't there.
Yeah. And then, so let's talk a little bit about how we do it at Thrive. Okay. And what we know to be true is when we first started practicing this, it took us a little while, right? We'd have to stay in it for a while. And it was like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to come to the conclusion on this, or a really solid solution? And what we realized is when we stayed in it, and we started practicing this way of doing it, we got so much better at it that now we're doing it, live time, super quick, and we don't have to, kind of feel the pains of the length of time that it originally took, and we can move much more quickly within our organization. And so, yeah, go ahead.
And it's not a dread anymore. So it's not like, oh, we're going to have to come to some sort of compromise. What am I willing to give up? It's now we're excited, like, I can't wait to see what this becomes. So that's what we do. We walk in with all these ideas, and it's like, ooh, what is it going to be? What is it going to become, instead of, oh, what am I willing to give up?
So I love the term essence, and I play in essence a lot. And you mentioned essence in your article in terms of what it is, how we actually navigate those conversations. So instead of, I need this for my department, we'll pull back a little bit and we'll say, wait a second, what is the essence of what I'm trying to get at? And I'll start questioning myself in that, or you'll start questioning yourself in that, and then we will meet in that space instead of the form. Can you define that a little bit for people, or expand that a little bit for people?
Well, it was exactly what you're saying. So I'm not saying, well, I need this specific outcome to happen and it has to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I go into it feels like this. I want it to feel this way. I want it to, and in the end, I want everybody to have experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
So I do it from the standpoint of, if you're dealing with customers, the customer experience.
Yeah.
So I want the customers to have experienced this. I want it to feel like that. So I'm not saying, they have to do this process or they have to do that process. It's more of the essence of what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And the fullness of what I want it to be.
So what I'm hearing is you let go of the attachment of the form.
Of the outcome, yeah.
Of the outcome, the form, the whatever it happens to be. And then when you let go of that outcome, you talk about in your article, it creates this opportunity for innovation, and it creates this opportunity for the team to come together and really, really advance and elevate the innovation and the creation of that kind of next level thing that never could have been done with just one person's idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, because then other questions can come out of it. So if I know you're looking for the essence of, I want everybody to have like an experience where they feel like they gained a lot of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's what you want to feel from it, now I can go into questioning like, well, can you get that from this?
Yes.
Or would it feel the same for you if it happened that way? If you were just giving me the form on it needs to look like that, well, now it's narrowed everything down because you just need it to look like that.
And now we're in a deadlock, right? It's like we're just clashing. We're just, trying to push our agenda versus, be collaborative and creative and innovative.
Right. You need it to look red. I need it to look blue. Well, if it looked purple, maybe that could be even better.
Right.
So it's taking the red and the blue out so that purple can become whatever shade it needs to become.
Right. And it's what is it about red and what is it about blue that actually is going to get you to that thing that is just.
Yeah, a better color than you could have imagined. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. What's your takeaway? What's the last thing that you want people to know about this? And, how can they go and live this and practice it?
Well, I mean, how they can live it is by starting it. Because like you said, just start doing it.
Yeah.
Get used to letting go of the exact thing you need it to be and start going into what does it feel like?
Yeah.
So instead of just holding to it, like I need it to be this because I need it for my department or I need it for whatever reason, relax a little bit. Relax kind of that threshold or that parameter of what you feel it has to look like, and just kind of start exploring a little more about what would it feel like,
Mm-hmm.
When I go into that space, when I let go of what it needs to be and go into the space of what would it feel like, it just opens up my mind to start thinking about it differently. So it's funny because I used to use an example of, if you have two choices, you either do it this way or that way.
Yeah.
Cross out those two ways and come up with 8 other ways you can do it. Even if you don't use those ways, it at least gets you thinking outside of that.
Yeah.
So when I go into what it feels like, it takes me out of that tangible form.
Right.
And puts me into more of an open space of being receptive to more ideas.
I love that. And one last thing that is coming up for me is it also helps pull away from you're right and I'm wrong, or you're wrong and I'm right. And it brings you to we're both right. So since we're both right, how do we combine that? How do we incorporate that into that next level and elevate the solution versus compromising on it or coming to consensus, which doesn't feel that great.
Right.
So awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And plus it takes me out of too, when I go into the feel like state, I'm more open to other people's ideas. So when I go into what it feels like, I can better see how someone else's ideas will get me to that feeling.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's just that more open, receptive place.
I love it. Well, if you guys are interested in this technique, I'll call it this methodology that we do, it's super, super valuable. We have found it extremely beneficial for our organization in terms of how we operate, how we navigate our team, and how we level up what we're bringing out into the world. And so if you're interested, hit us up. We are at thrivehdc.com. We love hearing from people. We have a lot of different events going on our web or on our website, so you can check out classes that we have, things that we have going on, like I said, thrivehdc.com. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.